Hello, so sorry this video is coming late. So we're talking about the differences between honey and sugar today. As you all know, we all know sugar cane. Sugar comes from sugar cane and sugar beet. And also honey comes from the bee. You guys know that. So the honey, everybody think honey is a natural food and wheat sugar is bad for you. They're both bad for you. So honey in the store, they prepare honey to be more appealing for us to buy. And also, what is lacking in the honey is the honey pollen, which they already is altered. It's already processed. That's what that means. Because saying this, there's so many misinformation in the internet. So we're going to talk about a few criteria today for you to know that honey is just as bad as um, as the simple sugar or the table sugar, as you may call it. Honey has um, honey has more glucose. No, honey has 35% of glucose and 40% of fructose. So honey is sweeter than sugar, and honey also contains some salt, but honey is more tasteful than sugar. And honey has some few minerals in them which are trace. They're not really minerals, but they're just trace of it. You have to eat a whole boatload of honey, like a whole glass of honey for you to get all those minerals, but they're trace. So you should know that honey and sugar both cause the same thing, especially if you're diabetic or if you're pre-diabetic. Honey and sugar will raise your blood sugar. So sugar, on the other hand, has 50 glucose and also 50% glucose and 50% fructose. And anything with free fructose is usually very sweet and very harmful for us. Free fructose. Fructose is always sweeter. That's why honey is sweeter than sugar. So when it comes to the calories, honey honey is 64. Honey has 64 calories and sugar has 48 calories also. So the most important thing is our glycemic index. The glycemic index is the one that raises our blood sugar fast. Depends on what you're eating. So if you look at it, they both have almost the same thing. Honey has 61 glycemic index. White sugar has 65. So if you look at it, it's the same thing. They both will raise your sugar equally, especially in food. If you put plenty of them in your food, they're going to raise your blood sugar just the same way. So they're both dangerous in the same way because they are both carbohydrate food. Honey is carbohydrate food. Honey has more fructose in it and free fructose. That's why it's kind of not too good for us. So it's a carbohydrate food. Honey is carbohydrate food. There was studies that I saw somewhere where there was two groups of people, some pre-diabetic and some didn't have any sugar problem at all, and they were given all this tests, the fructose, the glucose, and all that. Guess what? This honey raised everybody's blood sugar. So that's to tell you it's all the same thing. So there's no difference between sugar and honey. So I look at people sometimes, they just pour honey and pour honey and pour honey into their tea or into their coffee or even with their even with their pancake or with their bread or with whatever they eat, thinking they're really eating healthy and honey will save them. No, you only try, especially when you're pre-diabetic, you're only turning yourself into a full diabetic. Or if you are not even diabetic, you're only causing trouble and walking yourself into being diabetic. So we should stop thinking that honey is better than sugar because honey is natural. That's our that's our thinking that honey is natural. No, it's not, especially when it gets to the store. It's already altered. It's already refined. All the honey bee pollen is already gone. So all the natural thing in honey is already extracted. So that's why we must use things with caution and use things sparingly. When I mean sparingly, use it to moderation. Like they said, too much of everything is bad. If you were using honey today because you're a diabetic, if you were using a spoonful, a tablespoonful, make sure you use half or even less than half, or even if you don't want to have to use at all. So don't have it behind the back of your head that honey is better than sugar. No, they're all the same thing and they all cause the same harm. I hope this little teaching helps. Thank you all so much and have a good day, everybody. Thank you. Sorry this video came late. I've been so busy. Blessings.